Wassail Beautiful People. I did say beautiful Librans, but he's Libra. Wassail Beautiful Libra. Um, Yesterday I went and visited a chiropractor who cracked open parts of my body that have been kind of locked and troubled since I had a car accident in Lima, in Peru. And he was from Lima in Peru, which struck me as being really interesting that he would be the one to begin lifting this out. Um, and he did an amazing thing on my neck where he put a towel around my chin and neck, around the back of my neck while I was lying down, and so sleeping last night was like a different experience. I was in a constant awareness of being both asleep and in the astral. It wasn't like lucid dreaming. It was like being at school and being given an esoteric education, and me being me as I always did at school. I question everything that anyone tells me. And I don't have full memory, but it's like a filing cabinet has been loaded with a load of new files. And they did, a lot of the energy did surround today's reading, whether they're meant to come out today or whether they're meant to come out in the coming times. But it's like being given a whole new set of plans and rules for where we're heading, because of this shift that's taking place. So let's see what comes, because I'm not going to try and force anything out. Let's have Neptune's bell for you. I could feel something pulling down before that firework went off, and it was partly because this is Nessun dorma, none shall sleep. Actually, I don't know why, but last night the fireworks went up a level. So from about 7 p.m., they weren't just one or two bangs like we experienced in a reading a while back. They were just like a firework display. And it went on, I think, all night. And this morning at about 10 to 7, started again. It's been going on and off all day. None shall sleep. There's something about that energy of none shall sleep. I also, the other thing which I keep hearing in my head is Seesaw, Marjorie Daw, Johnny shall have a new master. He shall have but a penny a day because he can't work any faster. It's about a change in balance, a swinging of something. Oh, and there's a swing in the background. I can't do this mirror thing. There's something about swinging, not in the kind of pampas grass 1970s way, but in about swinging energy changes. This is House Libra, and by House Libra, I don't mean it has to be only House 7. It's really not about that energy. It may come up. It's really about the energy of what you have in Libra and how that affects you. So it could be House 2, it could be House 3. So you need to go to the house sign. So if your House 2 is in Gemini, look at Gemini for it, not at Taurus for it. But I don't know. You may find... I'm really not sure how this is all fully working, but that's the sense in my head, that you're looking at the energy of Libra, because this isn't standard astrology and it isn't standard tarot. It's an alchemy pushing them into a new area. Now, Libra. The energy of Libra is kind of cosmic law. And it's not about the balance. It's never about the balance. The balance is what we're always seeking. It's the how do we observe how out of balance we are, and what do we need to change to shift the balance. So it's really about looking at the fact that of all the signs of the zodiac, Libra is not represented by anything human or animal. It's an object, it's a balance, it's scales, it's about weighing things up. So we need to look at F sharp because Venus rules Libra, just like Venus rules Taurus, but Venus brings a different energy to fixed earth than it does to cardinal air. And you'll notice that when we go through the 4 kind of characteristic areas that you are seeking balance in. I've got no idea where I'll come out, but so we need to look at the F sharp of Venus, the higher heart, where we love others. But even before I'm about to play that, I know this is about how you almost unconsciously love yourself too much. So I want to say I'm very conscious of a portal into your past, like a sort of a net curtain. It's shimmering and it's blowing and it's asking you to look inside at how and why you've loved things. There's a real pulsing insistence from your past to go and look in your past, to go and evaluate who you were and why you did what you did. So, I need a sip of water. Dark down there. It's very difficult to sit outside because the sun's really overhead and it's hot. And so you have to I have to get the computer in the shade and I have to try and stay in enough light to be able to bring you cards that will still show up on the screen. And it moves so quickly that you end up chasing the sunshine. We're looking at 4 categories. So we're looking at something I'm calling ego chaos at the moment, which is the energy of your shadows that pull you into your dark despairs, into your moments of fear and worry. And it's interesting with Libra, you can go to many websites and look up characteristics of Libra, and for some reason, many astrologers are very unwilling to talk about the dark side of Libra, as if it's not there. Maybe you hide it better. I say that I'm a Libra sun, so the things I'm about to say, they trigger me slightly, but they're things that we need to understand, because it's from our shadows that we create our better selves. So your shadow energies are manipulation. It begins with manipulation because you're cardinal air. Your thoughts, you find it very easy to manipulate people. It's why Librans are said to make good diplomats. But you can use that energy very darkly. You can use that to manipulate people. Libra being ruled by Venus like Taurus, Taurus has this sensualness, but Taurus has much more of a love of the physical. In Libra, it comes out as a kind of narcissism. As narcissism, we make brilliant narcissists because we can manipulate, and we can manipulate thoughts. And thoughts are a sense of unattached emotions, is what they're saying. Now, Libra, hold your hands up and say, you can be shallow. You love to look good. You really love to look good. And it matters to you. But that can have a dark energy, because it means you can bring critical judgment on other people when you don't need to. Libra, you're entitled. You can be vainglorious. What a beautiful word that is. Vainglorious. Aloof. Because you look at the other signs and you think, I'm not doing all that human animal shit. I'm aloof to all of that. I'm just the scales. I'm just trying to balance things. And it's dangerous because it means you're not reaching out to others. You can be lazy. Not in the same way as Taurus is lazy. You're lazy in a way where you need something to entertain your mind. Taurus is quite happy just being lazy. And you are so needy. And that's a really negative attribute in you. You need to be loved. You need to be told you're lovely. And that's one of your shadows. I'm not saying you all have them now. You may have moved past them. But these are darknesses which you need to go and look at, apparently. And you are people pleasers, which is a good thing. But it's a negative thing if you never please yourself, because then you become embittered. So I'm going to turn that off, because today everything's running out of energy, except me. I'm not. And it hasn't charged for some reason. And my phone charger that's solar powered, that's also, it said it had a full charge. And when I plugged my phone in to charge it, it didn't have any charge. So it's over there in the sunshine, recharging itself. So, your dark shadows, Libra, that many won't admit exist, including ourselves. We're beginning with Neptune, which is liver, kidneys and spleen. It's this. It's the sixth. It's a kind of harmony with your, Venus and Neptune. It's interesting because Aphrodite, which is Venus, who is Venus, was born from the sea. What else would you like to say to Libra? Right, so now we have a little pile. I think I've just drawn them all down. Let me just move them around the other way, because I wasn't sure of the order, but I need to see which way round that feels like it's going. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. No, I'm putting it back the way it came out first of all. It's more uncomfortable, but that's what we're here to learn from. So you begin with Neptune. Maybe I have to move back a little bit. It's because the sun's moving. It's not quite on the keyboard, but it's too much. Now I'm in the dark. Maybe we go round. See, this is the thing about coming outside. There. We have a little bit of all the tables on a complete lean. So we have Neptune. Neptune is about to come out of retrograde and go stationary. I'm on tables all over the place. Maybe that's your energy. Maybe you're all over the place. Neptune's about to come out of retrograde, go stationary on the 1st, and we're in this eclipse tunnel that's very much dominated by ancestral changes. It's about a cleansing frequency. It's about the livers and kidneys and spleen. It's about energies caught in us that belong to our ancestors that are not necessarily us. Cleaning the astral was a theme. And it's coming out with a really interesting thing. You've got Quar square Haumea. So I just want to show you this because the two energies, you see, this is very troubled. I'll bring it in. Quar 39 is the galactic cosmic shaman. A true mystical experience. This square is when you're in conflict. And then you have Haumea, which is this instinctive trust and this birthing of creativity. It's like and these are two divinely numbered cards. They're 36 Haumea and 39 Quar. And so there's a divine energy upon you, and they're almost this seesaw that we talked about earlier, this energy of swinging. You can't seem to square how you feel at the moment. There's a sense of, I want to say drowning, but that's not quite what I mean. I want to say struggling for breath. There's an energy of struggling for breath because you can't process these old frequencies that are behind this curtain that you need to look at. There's a sense of having awoken to, not awoken to, there's a sense that you need to awaken to your shadows. There's one cup of your scales that's full of the shadows and one that's full of the light, and they move up and down, and you need to, I want to say, bring them into balance. But to do that, you've got to shovel some of your shadows into your light and some of your light into your shadows, because they weigh different amounts, and the piles of them, the shadows somehow are denser. I'm only saying it so that you understand it that way. There's something about the density of the shadows is heavier, so you've got to put some of your shadows into your light bucket, and some of your light somehow needs to go into the darkness because they're stacked in different amounts. It's like one of those puzzles where you have a series of kilograms and you have to put 1, 2 and 3 there, and then 4, 5 and 7 there, and 6 over there, until you can get it to balance. There's something about needing to work out. There's a conflict in the seat of your soul, and it is ancestral. It's energies that you've experienced because they're in your blood, and that's a message that's coming up a lot in this season. It's also an awakening frequency. 3936. 39 is inner divinity. 36 is the energy of the molecular trap that our consciousness balances between. And there's something a little bit Libran about this image, the balance. It's like you haven't brought these two circles down to sit them on this. They're showing me this as pi, not who ate all the pies pie, but 3.146278912, that pi, and that's about an endless number. a number that goes on to infinity. And they're saying to me, this unbalance is something that goes on throughout time forever. But there are moments when you can bring it into balance. There are moments when you go along the formula of it, the number, as it goes on for infinity, where there are magical balancing points, and you have to seek yours. And then you have air. This is thought editing. That's what you've got to do. You've got to edit your past. This is the element of air. This is you. It's cardinal air, but you've almost got to be a little bit more mutable about it. You're having new ideas. You're putting more and more new ideas into one part of your scales, and it's keeping you out of balance. You've got to go back and review. And then we have aquavita. And this is moderation. It's ethanol, it's alcohol. And the idea is it's a remedy, but it's a dangerous remedy. And it's to do with the house of travel. But they're saying to me, don't worry about that. This isn't about the house of travel. This is about moderation. You're not moderating your life and your experiences, Libra. You're seeing only one side of your life perspective, and it's what's putting you out of balance. It's you feel out of balance because you're not reviewing the information that comes into you. I've got to speed up. This one's going to be long otherwise, and I don't want to do that because it looks like I'm spending too long. Oh no, I didn't mean to put those back. Hang on. That's got an energy of... It's got an energy of us. That's got an energy of I don't want to look at it. I'll put it back. It would have only come out again. So let's have a look at the energies that are your lighter side. The energies that everyone's happy to talk about with Libra. Harmony, justice, thinker, sartorial, charming, and founding. You found things. I want to jump back onto thinker though, because thinker is something that is actually associated with Libra because it thinks, because it's cardinal air. But often Libra doesn't think. It overthinks about things, but it doesn't think things through, rationalize them and work out the solution. It just keeps thinking them. And that's part of your awakening process, is to start to think more coherently. So let's have a look at got one falling at the moment on your light side. Fire, ideas, passions. So you've had air and fire. You need to edit your thoughts, and then there's new thoughts can come in. You can't bring these new thoughts in. You can't bring in your upgrades. Like that energy I had last night. I spend days, hours philosophizing, partly through making these decks, but also just questioning, who am I, why am I, what have I done, and what did that mean to me, so that I can deal with them. And it's interesting that I have no handle on dates in the past. I mean, in my own past. It's all in the past. And that's a very Libran thing. It's already done. But you have to go in there and seek solutions to it. It can't just be left in the past, unfiled. You've got to Dewey Decimal it. You've got to be more librarian, less Libran about it. You've got to think more. You're cardinal air. So, what do you want to tell us? I want to say you've got to go back to the beginning, because I've got 3 cards in the middle and they're all asteroids, but the outside energies are both about Aries, and that's your direct opposite sign. So you need to somehow go back and burn off, calcinate, control, And I want to say dehydrate. You've got to go back into your past. If you want to move on to these beautiful energies that you have, the shift you've got to make is you've got to dehydrate. You've got to remove the toxic emotions that you don't want to look at. And that's part of that not liking any form of conflict. Avoiding conflict. You're avoiding the conflict of your own mind, and that's putting you into the wrong energy frequency. 661 6661, because this is 66, sorry, I'm not just making up random numbers. This appears in the middle of the Ace of Pentacles, I think. It's about new beginnings. You're always seeking new beginnings. Your cardinal aspect is seeking the new beginnings, even if it means manipulating others to hide your past. And you can't have those new beginnings until you've faced the energy of the past through that curtain that came up at the very beginning. None shall sleep. I feel I'm going to hold up these two to begin with. This is very much your frequency. You might want to look up where Juno is in your chart. There's a link in the description box to the asteroids that we're using. And Kawar is on a separate link, but the other 12 you will find on this link. This is about relationships and merging. That's very much, even though I said at the beginning this is not about house 7, whatever I say, Spirit likes to just dig in and say there is always an energy of partnerships, relationships, and that doesn't just mean sexual. It can be in business, it can be friendships, it can be at work, but it's that energy. You're never going to find a decent balance in the relationships you have now until you resolve how you've been in the past that you are not looking at. And then you do have Eros. Sexual desires and kinks. It's very difficult because kinks was added to this word very early on, and I don't know how relevant that's going to be in the future, but there's something I'm being shown you as the archer, as Eros, because you have Venus. It's almost, what I'm sort of saying is, it's an energy of you almost being in control of where Eros shoots the arrow. And that's wrong. That's manipulative narcissism. So I feel that even though you're now trying to move to the light, the cards are still trying to say that there are energies in your past, Libra, that you don't face up to fully. It's almost like you go, whew, that never happened, and everyone goes, no, that never happened. And that's, it's gone very dark and shadowy, but I feel like that's relevant. I feel like it's trying I almost don't want to say it. It feels like we're being shown to have shadows that we hide in, and we're so good that no one can see us when we're in our shadows. And then you have Make Make, which is about environmental wisdom, but there's something about this that's to do with volcanoes, which is this: you're not being aware of the environment in which you're living. You're not using, you see, this is meant to be in a kind of really positive energy. And as these cards are being used, they're unfolding new messages. There's something of Ul wisdom, owl wisdom. There's something of Ganesh, the elephant's trunk and ears. There's something about being able to remove. There's something in this card, again, of the manipulator. You've got to burn off this manipulator. You've got to burn off the kind of fluttering eyelids. You've got to burn off that frequency of saying, it's interesting that as I'm saying that, the sun is being put in a shade. You've got to burn off those passions to control others through some form of manipulation, Libra. And that's been your message on both lines now. So, let's move on to your balance that you're always seeking but never seem to achieve. This table's moving so much. The table's swinging. Everything's completely Libra. It's either settled back or it's on edge. So your subconscious wisdom, peacekeeping, perceptive, and begetting, creative. So it is that sense of not wanting conflict, and yet somehow all the conflict feels contained within you, making you crazy. That's interesting. You've got Saturn. Taurus had Saturn. Taurus is ruled by Venus. There's something about... how many is that? Oh no, that's 7 and we've already got 3. I'm not reading 10. There's something about how when we come into life, when we're incarnated, the energy of our pure love is separated into a higher and a lower heart section. And that Saturn energy is the connection to the real world. And I suspect for you that's harder. You know, if we're really honest, if you think about Libran friends, or if, you know, most Librans are found indoors in controlled environments. They're not seen so readily outdoors, or you may not think of them as being outdoors. I've never thought of that, but that's what they're saying. And then you have Vesta. Sorry, I should show you these. I was going to shuffle some more cards. So the lower world. This is the oldest metal, lead. It's a very heavy energy. And I would say that most cardinal signs find grounding very difficult. And so that's the indoorsness. And you have Vesta, the eternal hearth, magnesium, inextinguishability. This is the very last frequency to be snuffed out. Meaning that somehow the very last vestiges of life are always consciousness, not the physical heartbeat. And you burn, you're burning inside with a need to come out of your shadows and be in your light fully, to be in your light comfortably. Aquarius is the next frequency, and Aquarius in the alchemical process is to amplify. You need to amplify your... This was similar to the Taurus message, and so it must have something to do with when you're ruled by Venus. You have to work harder to amplify, magnify, to boost and increase your presence in the real world. It's about spiritual aether, which is a spiritual fire, and you had that energy of fire and Aries, the calcination, the burning off. This is the need somehow to polish your shadows. That's what they're showing me. Polish your shadows, Libra. Polish them. clean up your act and stop hiding your shadows. Not hiding in your shadows, but totally hiding your shadows. If anyone gets close to your shadows, anyone gets close to opening that Pandora's box, you're somehow manipulating them to not even see it. You have to look at the prime energies of life and engage your physical body in them. So there's something about your sartorial energy in its shadow form that is, again, dressing fine, looking good to hide the demons. And you've got to somehow sort of dress yourself down and go look at your truths. So, any more? So, South Node. Where you came from. When you came into the world, you came from somewhere. But that energy of aloofness has stopped you fully looking. It's almost like, I don't want anyone to find out where I came from. I need to pretend to be what I am. And that's not your truth. You're always where you came from, and it's how far you've journeyed. You don't just appear at the destination. So, let's move on to the last part. So, we're looking at the gifts that you can offer to the world when you've addressed your imbalances. And it's interesting that I talk about it then for the first time as an imbalance, because that's what it is. It is an imbalance. So it's all about your ability to bring reconciliation to others. But that's not about pleasing people. That's about understanding balance, because you can see all sides. And it's also about social connections, connecting with people properly, not manipulatively. And it's also about diplomacy, that mannered ability, the calm that Libra has. That's your gift, to originate. You've had this energy all the time of being able to create because of your cardinal air, creating new ideas, bringing them towards people, but understanding that people want these ideas because they're necessary, not because you say they should have them. So, Libra. Your gifts. I just need to look at something. So, it begins with these two. Quicksilver. This is mutable modality. And that's interesting, because when I was saying you're creators, creating an idea is cardinal. That's the whole point of cardinal energy. But materializing cardinal energy is fixed. So you need to somehow find the Quicksilver connection between the cardinal and the fixed, and that's to be mutable. To take something as a gift and know that it's, I don't want to say, and know that it's helpful, but to know that it will materialize good for others. I don't even want to say hopeful. Knowing it's needed, knowing that something is needed, not being needy, but knowing that something is needed, knowing that in a solution that you offer, you run the Quicksilver into the gaps, fill it, and then somehow you lock it in, you fix it into that frequency. And I think that's got something to do with the fact that it's the card past this one, there's the seesaw in the middle. The other end of the seesaw is Taurus, moon in Taurus. The esoteric being connected into fixed earth. You bring an energy to fix something. So your middle card, your fulcrum, this is what you want to see, Libra, on this part of a reading. This is the prime materials. This is you being completely and utterly imbalanced. Your Philosopher's Stone is there for you. But you have to understand how to work with your Philosopher's Stone, and it's not through manipulation. It's through fluidity of purpose, through cosmic law. Yeah, you can manipulate the cosmic law, but the cosmic law will catch up with you at some point, and that hurts you. So working within cosmic law, I'm seeing 777 here, because Quicksilver's 5 and 2. And I'm seeing that as an energy that's always present. It's a frequency to transform things. It's like pulling in an energy where you're pushing the frequency of Quicksilver through things to transform them, to reform them, to help them to materialize, to work with these prime materials, which is all the molecules in the world. You can apply your thoughts and your love to something, transform it, and bring it into a fixed modality so that it can live and breathe. It says sensual nights, but what they're saying to me is it's about it becoming sensory, sensual, as in the things that you can bring to the world, the gifts, will allow people to touch, smell, taste, and experience the tangible, transformed from the intangible, from the esoteric, from behind the veil. And then you're ending with 90 embers, not ended, paused. And they're showing me that as not ended. The imbalances that you have in life are not ended, because they're paused so that you can look into the world and gift the world with balance. And every time you go to do that, you've got to put something else in your cup to bring you out of balance, and then seek to address the imbalances as a kind of cosmic law enforcer. But I don't, enforcer's too strong a word. Creator, a cosmic law creator. So that's it, Libra. That was a long one. I'm going to move on to Scorpio next. So for now, Libra, wassail.